The blistering Nigerian sun over the sprawling city of Enugu acts as a ruthless unifying force, yet even its impartial rays manage to emphasize the profound divide splitting the bustling streets below. On one side of this is this invisible but deeply felt line, near a massive, chaotic construction site that promises progress while demanding backbreaking labor from men covered in sweat and pulverized limestone, there is Muna. Muna's presence is as modest as her ambitions are noble. Her uniform, worn but meticulously clean, identifies her as a shelf stalker at a nearby supermarket. Her hands, although tired, hold a bottle of water she was meant to display, but which she's currently pressing against her temple in a futile attempt to cool the relentless throb of another exhausting workday. She dreams not of sudden wealth or high status, but merely of safety and being seen, respected, of making ends meet for herself and the people she cares about without sacrificing her humanity or principles. Then, sharply contrasted on the other side of that street, seemingly untouched by the oppressive heat, strides Azuka. Her movements are sharp, almost predatory, full of a misplaced sense of entitlement that turns heads for the wrong reasons. Each click of her designer heels against the dusty pavement a little insult. Azuka is Muna's roommate and co-worker, but that is the extent of their similarity. While Muna accepts her circumstances with quiet dignity, Azuka is fueled by a volatile, toxic cocktail of envy, impatience, and an overinflated ego that convinces her she is only momentarily trapped in this environment, waiting, or rather, actively hunting for a shortcut to the glamorous, luxurious life she feels she is owed, primarily by leveraging her undeniable beauty to capture a rich man. She doesn't just want comfort. She wants dominance, superiority over the everyday people she sneeringly dismisses as mere props in her awaited movie of fame and fortune. And then there is Chibuik, whose very presence, if anyone bothered to genuinely look at him, is a paradox waiting to be unpacked. It's the chaos of the construction site. He is just another silhouette defined by dust, muscles strained under heavy, dry, cement-stained blocks, his entire being seemingly consumed by the demands of intense, low-paying manual labor. His clothes, stiff with dried grime, cling to his frame. Sweat continuously collects dust on his neck and face, and his worn boots suggest a life that leaves little room for comfort, let alone recognition. It doesn't just look poor. He looks invisible, a mere functioning component of a larger machine. However, beyond the dust, beyond the worn fabric, beyond the heavy gaze he directs toward the relentless traffic, there is something in Chibuike, perhaps only visible to those whose own eyes haven't been corrupted by prejudice and internal strength, a strange stillness and a subtle but undeniable intelligence that is completely at odds with his current circumstances. He is hiding a secret so immense, so life-altering, that it has the power to shatter the fragile, superficial assumptions upon which this world, and certainly Azuka's world, are built, a hidden reality that, once revealed, will not only change lives but completely redefine the meaning of wealth, character, and loyalty for everyone who has ever crossed his dusty path. We watch him now, a simple worker longing only for cold water under a hot sun, unaware, or perhaps hyper-aware, that the invisible thread connecting him to these women, to this supermarket, to this moment is about to pull them all into a maelstrom of karma, desire, and life lessons they are completely unprepared for. The suffocating humidity inside the roadside supermarket does nothing to cool the volatile temper radiating from Azuka as she stands near the entrance, her eyes tracking every customer with a look of profound disgust. To her, this job is an insult, a temporary prison sentence while she waits for a wealthy savior to sweep her away into a life of effortless luxury. When Chibuik steps through the glass doors, his clothes heavy with the gray dust of dried cement and his boots leaving faint, powdery tracks on the tiled floor, Azuka's face contorts into immediate loathing. He looks directly at her, his throat parched and his voice raspy from hours of inhaling dust, as he politely asks where the cold drinks are kept. Azuka pretends not to hear, turning her back with a dramatic toss of her hair, deliberately snubbing him, while other customers begin to whisper and stare. Refusing to believe a human being could be so deliberately cruel to a thirsty worker, Chibuke steps closer and gently taps her shoulder to get her attention. What happens next shocks everyone in the building. Azuka spins around with venom in her eyes and violently hurls the contents of a cold water bottle straight into Chibuike's face. The entire supermarket falls into a stunned, breathless silence as the water drips from his nose and chin, soaking his already filthy shirt. Azuka does not offer an apology. Instead, she screeches at the top of her lungs, accusing him of being a disgusting, impoverished manual laborer who has no right to touch her or even breathe the same air. She publicly humiliates him, using his appearance as a weapon to strip him of his dignity in front of a growing crowd of onlookers. Chibuik stands frozen, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and deep, quiet hurt, yet he refuses to lower himself to her level by shouting back. Witnessing this glaring injustice, Muna rushes over from the next aisle, her heart breaking for the dignity of this stranger. Boldly defying her volatile roommate, Muna openly scolds Azuka for her cruel, elitist behavior and gently guides the humiliated construction worker toward the beverage cooler, offering him words of genuine kindness and respect. Chibuik takes his purchases and walks out into the blazing sun, his back straight but his heart deeply wounded by the unprovoked cruelty. He stops across the street, looking back at the supermarket with a profoundly serious, unreadable expression, while inside, Azuka sneers at Muna's compassion, completely oblivious as to the fact that her arrogance has just set a terrifying karmic trap for her own future. Days slowly blend into weeks in the vibrant, dusty city of Enugu, and with each passing afternoon, the psychological divide between the two roommates deepens into an unbridgeable chasm of tension and moral conflict. Azuka continues to strut through life with absolute vanity, loudly celebrating what she perceives as her personal victory over the lower class, completely convinced that her vicious public display at the supermarket was an act of high self-worth rather than a grotesque exhibition of cruelty. Back in their small shared room during late nights, the air grows heavy and suffocating as Muna repeatedly tries to appeal to Azuka's conscience, pleading with her to understand that wealth is volatile, but human dignity is absolute. Azuka merely scoffs, tossing her head back in arrogant laughter, as she openly declares that poor men are like stray dogs who do not deserve an ounce of basic respect, insisting that her beauty is an exclusive ticket to a life of ultimate luxury and soft living. Muna can only look at her childhood friend with a profound sense of sorrow and growing alarm, recognizing the ugly, toxic rot that has completely consumed Azuka's character. Meanwhile, a beautiful secret bond begins to quietly flourish in the spaces where arrogance cannot reach. On a Saturday afternoon, when Azuka spots Chibuke at the construction site and crosses the road for a second time, just to scream additional venomous insults at him in front of his fellow laborers, Chibuke's calm composure remains absolute, an unbothered rock in a sea of unnecessary malice. Muna, mortified by her roommate's obsessive cruelty, runs after her to offer deep, heartfelt apologies, an act of genuine empathy that catches Chibuke's attention and touches something deep within his soul. Intrigued by Muna's rare golden heart, Chibuke waits for an evening when she finishes work alone, cleaner now after his shift, and gently asks to buy her a simple roadside dinner and walk her home. During this modest meal beneath the dim, warm lights of a humble open-air food stand, the tension beautifully melts away as they share their life stories. Chibuik explicitly confesses that while he was initially attracted to Azuka's superficial beauty, her hideous personality completely broke any interest, turning his heart fully toward Muna's undeniable inner grace. When Azuka catches wind of this growing connection, her pride transforms into a dangerous, dark obsession. She begins to relentlessly mock Muna, calling her completely unambitious and a pathetic waste of time for bringing a dirty, penniless cement mixer into their social circle. But Muna remains completely steadfast, continuing to visit Chibuke during his lunch breaks to bring him simple meals in nylon bags, a beautiful testament of her pure, unconditional affection. As the massive, modern glass building across the street nears its final stages of completion, glowing brilliantly under the Nigerian sun, the emotional stakes rise to a boiling point. Tension builds to an unbearable level as Azuka's sneers grow sharper and Muna's connection with Chibuke grows deeper, with viewers left holding their breath, eagerly waiting for the exact moment when the veil of poverty will be violently ripped away, and the true face of the mysterious construction worker will finally be exposed to the world. The morning sun finally rises on the day of ultimate unmasking, casting a brilliant, blinding light on the completed architectural masterpiece across the street from the supermarket. The towering glass and steel skyscraper, now officially designated as the nationwide headquarters of a multi-billion naira real estate conglomerate, is surrounded by an ocean of luxury vehicles, red carpets, and flashing television cameras. It is Muna and Azuka's day off, And inside their small living room, the television set is tuned into the breaking national broadcast covering the grand opening. Azuka sits comfortably on the couch, marveling at the sheer opulence of the event, when the master of ceremonies steps up to the microphone and proudly invites the founder, majority shareholder, chief executive officer of the empire to deliver his keynote address, a man introduced to the entire country as the brilliant civil engineer, Mr. Chibuiki Solomon. The moment the camera pans to the podium and focuses on the speaker's face, a sudden, suffocating silence drops upon the room like a lead weight. Azuka freezes mid-breath, her eyes widening in absolute horror as she recognizes the unmistakable features of the exact same man she had treated like garbage, the very man whose face she had violently soaked with water and whom she had repeatedly insulted as a worthless, poverty-stricken nonentity. Muna drops her glass in sheer amazement, her mind racing as she listens to Chibuki explain to the nation that he possesses a profound passion for hands-on engineering. Choosing to personally disguise himself in dusty overalls to closely supervise his company's most critical projects alongside his everyday workers from the ground up. The revelation hits Azuka like a physical blow. The staggering realization that she had aggressively thrown away and humiliated a multimillionaire bachelor completely breaks her arrogant spirit, replacing her confidence with a wave of sickening panic, sweating palms, and unbearable public shame. The triumph of justice is absolute and beautifully complete when, the very next evening, Chibuika arrives at their modest neighborhood in a pristine, chauffeur-driven luxury vehicle. As a desperate, trembling Azuka rushes out to frantically stutter pathetic apologies and beg for his forgiveness, Chibucake looks right through her with absolute cold indifference, completely ignoring her desperate pleas before turning to a stunned Muna with a warm, radiant smile to formally ask her out on an elegant, exclusive dinner date. As Muna steps into the plush leather interior of the vehicle and leaves a weeping, green with envy Azuka standing alone in the dust, the ultimate victory of pure character over shallow materialism is permanently sealed for the entire world to witness. The swift and uncompromising hand of karma wastes absolutely no time in rewriting the destinies of these two women, proving once and for all that a person's true character will always dictate their ultimate destination. Following that unforgettable night, Chibuike completely isolates Azuka by blocking her on every communication channel and instructing his elite security team to ensure she can never step foot inside his corporate premises again. Consumed by a toxic, venomous jealousy, Azuka attempts one final desperate act of malice to destroy her roommate's happiness. She sends Chibuik a deceitful voice message along with out-of-context photographs, claiming Muna has been secretly hiding a 5-year-old daughter from him. When Chibuik confronts Muna with a heavy heart, the truth shines through beautifully, as Muna calmly explains that the little girl is actually her struggling brother's child, whom she selflessly cared for to keep the family afloat. Deeply moved by her transparency and thoroughly disgusted by Azuka's relentless wickedness, Chibuke apologizes for his brief doubt and immediately takes action to rescue Muna from that toxic environment. He presents Muna with the keys to a stunning, fully furnished luxury apartment in one of his elite estates, and proudly offers her a high-paying executive position at the new corporate headquarters, effectively lifting her out of the supermarket and into a life of absolute security, respect, and abundance. The ultimate peak of this beautiful journey manifests on a spectacular wedding day that captures the attention of the entire city of Enugu, where Muna walks down the aisle in a magnificent white gown to marry her billionaire soulmate, surrounded by true love and genuine honor. Meanwhile, a harsh and isolating karma completely breaks Azuka's life, sitting alone in the dim light of her decaying room, having been completely abandoned by Muna and swallowed by her own bitter envy. She watches the grand wedding broadcast on television, weeping uncontrollably as the unbearable weight of her past actions sinks in, realizing that her blind pride and elitist cruelty cost her the very soft life she spent her entire existence hunting for. This emotionally charged, powerful story serves as a profound, timeless philosophical warning to every single viewer watching around the world. Never, under any circumstances, allow a person's temporary occupation, dusty clothes, or current financial struggle to dictate how you treat them. For the universe has a brilliant way of humbling the proud and elevating the kind. Life is a magnificent wheel of karma, and the exact same person you humiliate and pour water on today under the blazing sun could very well hold the keys to your future kingdom tomorrow, proving that true wealth is never found in a fat bank account, but in a clean heart, an empathetic soul, and an unshakable sense of human loyalty. What do you think about Azuka's devastating downfall and the incredible, blessed path that Muna walked due to her pure heart? Oh. Do you believe that Azuka's sudden tears of regret were genuine, or was she simply mourning the loss of a billionaire's wealth? Please leave your honest thoughts, moral lessons, and heartfelt opinions in the comment section below, as we truly love reading and interacting with your perspectives. If this incredible story touched your heart and brought tears to your eyes, please hit that like button, share this video immediately with your family and loved ones to spread this vital life lesson, and make absolutely sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell right now, because another deeply emotional, highly intriguing narrative, full of shocking twists and turns, is dropping very soon. And you definitely do not want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your incredible support, and we cannot wait to see you again in our next powerful story.